Hi, I'm Jess,
I'm Sarah.
and I'm interviewing my mom. Okay, so in our little interview, we are going to talk about my political cartoons. So, Mom, my first political cartoon, how would you interpret this?
Well, it's about the government shutdown, Jess. And I presume it's a national monument. And they're just talking about the shutdown of government, of everything, including monuments, etc.
Did this affect you in any way?
Well, the national monument's being shut.
Yes.
No.
How about national parks? Did that affect you?
No, but there was a mini earthquake, and I did go on to look at the on the earthquake site, and I found out it was shut.
Oh.
Due to the government shutdown, I couldn't find any information about a mini earthquake that had happened.
Okay. So, on to my next one. How would you interpret this one on the debt ceiling?
Well, it's not that funny.
Well, how would you think about it? Why is it not funny to you?
I don't think it's a great cartoon.
Well, I chose it, so you have to look at it.
I'm looking. Relax. They tell me there's a ceiling that will stop me. Well, obviously there isn't. You can go through the debt ceiling. So yeah, it is what it is.
Okay. Well, we'll go on to my next one then. I think this one is rather funny and cool. What do you think about the bats?
Well, I've been saying that for years, that Oreos are more addictive than cocaine. So yes, I think this is quite funny.
It has been proved that this is wrong. Do you think it is actually wrong? Or
I think there are chemicals in processed foods that do stimulate addictive. If you've got an addictive personality, I think there are certain additives in foods that probably be best avoided.
So Oreos?
Oreos are up there. Yes, definitely.
Any other foods that you think may?
Soda. Soda's my... Nothing good comes of soda.
Okay.
How many weeks have we got?
We have week 4, and then we have news articles too. So what do you think of this one and the issue?
Yeah, well, obviously this is the NSA spying on European leaders. I find this, being a European, I find this a little strange. And Angela Merkel was from Eastern Europe, which had a long history of spying, and I think this affected her not as a political leader but also as a personal. I think it reverberated with her from the past of being an Eastern European and have people monitoring her. I mean, and I'm not entirely sure what they're hoping to gain by listening to people's cell phone, to the leaders' cell phones. I just doesn't think.
Okay, now we're going to go on to some current events, and I'll tell you what they're about. So in my first article, it was on the House approves back pay for furlough workers. And this is a summary of it I did with the park shutting down. Do you have any more opinion on that? How the government shut down and those no, and it ended up going on to be about Obamacare. And do you have any opinion on that?
I think it's ridiculous that they shut down the government on an issue that had been approved into law. And they'd actually tried to repeal Obamacare 42 times previous to this.
Did you see this coming, the shutdown, or do you think it just came out of nowhere?
Well, I think there was inklings that were trying to do it. I think it's a bit like having a toddler and throwing their toys out the pram because it's not what they want. They just... Do I think Obamacare in its current form is perfect? No. But do I think it's better than nobody having access to healthcare? Yes. So.
Okay, so on to week 2. I did the U.S. shutdown opens landmarks, and it was the price for New York to keep its symbol open, the Statue of Liberty open for one day would be $60,000, and for Arizona to open their Grand Park per day for 7 days would be $100,000.
But I don't think states like Arizona could afford to have their park shut. I mean, yes, it was $100,000, but the revenue for the small businesses, the hotel owners, the food. You know, it's not just that, it's the businesses. And you've got to, you know, this is like Arizona, their parks, so they're one of their main sources of income. You know, and keeping the Statue of Liberty open, yeah, that's a good thing to do.
Because it's so the symbol of freedom to show we're not so vulnerable.
Yeah.
Put us in a vulnerable
Yeah, I think
position.
it's, I mean, 60,000, yes, it's a huge amount of money, but it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big.
So if they have enough money to keep open these parks, do you think that money could be going to other things now that the parks are open and paid for by the government?
No, because it never was.
And do you think that the government should stop being in control of these parks and that the state should just pay for them themselves? So
No, I think because
I
mean I know the full history of the parks, but I think the parks, the reason they were set up was for all the people, and I think if some states start taking, you know, I just think it works as it is at the moment.
Okay. On to week 3. On this one, I did it on the Republicans back down, ending the crisis of the debt ceiling, and on the vote and how every Democrat voted in favor of Obama, but some Republicans even voted in the favor of him. What do you think of that?
I think the country needs to stop thinking that one side is right and one side is wrong, and they need to start finding a common ground. It's not necessarily the Democratic answer or the Republican answer, it's finding the right answer. And people, you know, the rest of the world is moving on. As America bickers internally, India surges forward, Brazil surges forward, Europe surges forward. It's just hurting the country, internal fighting.
In this article also said there should be a further butting of heads in January when the next stage is meant to commence. How do you think that will go down? Do you think there'll be another shutdown?
I think they will, because unfortunately I think the Democratic Party crowed a bit and said that they'd won. They won the last battle, and I think it's made some people in the Republican Party just dig in and say, well, you might have won this, but we'll do this. But they suffered hard in the polls. I mean, it's hard. I mean, and again, it's not one party is not always right. They've got to find common ground and work together.
Okay, week 4, my last article, and it's on the spy crisis. Top German spy chiefs to go to Washington for the talk. And it was a German and a France who were planning to visit Washington, D.C. separately and talk about the rising issue. Do you think this is a good thing for them to do, to go visit Washington, D.C.?
I mean, Germany and France are an ally of the United States. It seems strange to actually, for the NSA, I presume we're talking about the spying here?
Yeah.
It seems strange to be spying and just do this blanket spying of huge, not only the leaders, but French civilians, German civilians, American civilians. I mean, surely it's better to focus on some people, some key...
Would that mean, like, grouping people, being like, oh, we're going to focus on the Muslims because they're from a country or from where...
No, because that would have been like in England, when the IRA were bombing us, saying we're just going to focus on the Catholics.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a religion that's causing it. It's extremist, it's terrorists that are doing it. It's not a religion.
Yeah.
You have to focus on, and yes, you can identify extremists, and they can be of any political persuasion or any religious persuasion. It's not just have to be that they have to be Muslim.
Okay. Well, thank you for sitting down and doing an interview with me. Really appreciate this. Bye!